Buying a car in today's market can be very, very difficult. If you're looking for a new car, inventory is still all over the place and interest rates are through the roof. And if you're looking for a classic Mustang, well, good luck. The classic market is still all over the place price-wise, but thankfully there do appear to be some good deals coming down the pike as the market slows just a little bit. The problem is a lot of those good deals turn out to be scams. In today's video, we're going to talk about some red flags you should look for to make sure you don't get scammed when trying to buy a classic Mustang. So before we get into the red flags, let's talk about why would somebody want to do this? Well, scammers are obviously lousy people. I mean, they're obviously trying to get something from you, and most times they're trying to get either personal information or they're trying to get money. Now, if you follow these red flags and look for these things when trying to buy a classic car, hopefully the worst thing you lose is a little bit of time. First red flag should be when the price is just too good to be true. Now, this one should be pretty obvious, but oftentimes it isn't. Now, for example, if you see a 2021 GT500 carbon fiber track pack for $10,000. I mean, that one obviously should be a huge red flag. Obviously, that's a scam. But some of your smarter scammers are a little bit better at it than that. They'll put up a 93 Cobra for, say, $15,000, which is a deal, not a steal, but it's a deal because it's far less than those cars are going for. Now, there's always a chance that maybe that seller just doesn't know the market and that's what they're putting that car for sale for, so the deal might be there. And a lot of those times, that's what they will lead you into, is they'll get you with a price that might be close enough to make you think this is legit. They get you to start messaging them, and then that's when things go downhill. Red flag number 2 is little information in the ad. If you see a for sale ad for the car, there's no location, there's no mileage, there's not a ton of information. Literally, it's a couple bad photos taken with a potato phone, probably in a mall parking lot, and a price. That is usually a huge red flag. Now, you can still message them, see what response you get. Most times you're gonna get blown off, mostly because the scammers often don't know the car. They took a picture of it, they try to figure out what they could get out of it, and they make an ad. They don't have the car, they know nothing about the car, they can't answer questions. For example, if you're looking at a car and you know for sure that it's red fire red, and you ask them what color red it is and they tell you it's scarlet or some other color like that, again, key indicators, red flags, you're being scammed. Red flag number 3, you get through some preliminary questions, you get some answers, you seem to be maybe this is a legit deal, and you ask to see the car, and the seller starts coming up with excuses. And this happens quite often. Again, huge red flag. If you're trying to buy a car, you should lay eyes on it. If you can't, you should make sure somebody that you know or somebody that you trust goes and looks at that car and make sure it is what it's supposed to be. When you start messaging a scammer who's trying to sell a car and say, hey, listen, I want to come look at this car today, and they're out of town, or the car is not available, or it needs to be cleaned, and the excuses start flowing, huge red flags, probably a scam. So the next red flag on my list is going to be misspelled words and poor language. Now, we've all seen misspellings in legit ads. For some reason, people spell Edelbrock wrong all the time, but there's a bunch of other ones that actually get kind of the same treatment. Misspellings doesn't necessarily mean it's a scam, but get your guard up. But poor wording, poor language choices really, really does. If it says, you know, car good run or something like that, sure, it could be somebody that English is their second language, they don't write a lot, but more than likely, if the language just doesn't seem right, it's because it's written by somebody who's not anywhere remotely knowledgeable about the car and is simply looking to scam you out of your money. Red flag number 5, and probably the biggest one in my book, is when they ask for a deposit up front. Now, deposits put on cars all the time. If you find a car that you like and you've seen pictures and video and verified the VIN and your friend went and looked at it and everything is legit, the seller may ask you for a couple bucks to hold it until you pick it up. That's perfectly normal. When you don't get that stuff though, and they start asking for a deposit, that's when you need to run away. You know, in most of those cases, obviously you're never gonna see that money again. The car probably doesn't even exist. And if they come up looking for a deposit before you get answers to any of your questions, run away. So the idea for this video came about last week when there was an ad on Craigslist down in South Carolina for a 1966 GT350 Hertz for only $8,500. Obviously seems too good to be true, red flag number 1. But the guy had a bunch of pictures, the ad was pretty much well written, so I had my marketing director reach out. He asked me about it, I'm like, you know what, seems like a scam, but see what the guy has to say. So he messaged him and got a very well-worded response. Car's been in the family for years, and it's his dad's car, and they have it on the farm, and everything sounded pretty legit. But again, this is a scammer that kind of knew what he was doing. So I had my marketing director reach out. I'm like, ask for the Shelby serial number, ask for the VIN number, you know, ask for some more photos, just of unique things, just to see if they can get them for you. The guy actually replied that, you know, that was no problem. He'll get some photos, he'll get the VIN, he'll get everything that we asked for. sounded pretty good. We're like, maybe this is a legit ad. Well, soon after, we got another message from this guy, basically saying he's had a ton of interest in the car and people were offering him way more than the asking price, but he was going to be nice and give it to us for the asking price as long as we would send a 20% deposit that day. Again, huge red flag. But at this point, it's like, let's just see where this goes. So we messaged them back and said, hey, you know what? We have a friend of the company. She's 20 minutes away from where you live in South Carolina. We'll send her over right now, and if she verifies the VIN and verifies everything, we'll take the car. Again, see where it goes. So the guy replies back almost immediately. Now all of a sudden he's out of town. So before he was able to take pictures and video, now he's out of town. And his father's out of town. And he doesn't want to disclose where the car is located at for fear of somebody stealing it. So at this point, red flags are going off left and right. We know the thing is actually a scam. I ended up actually taking the photos off of the Craigslist ad, doing a Google reverse image lookup, and sure enough, they were from a Craigslist ad from 2015 where that exact car sold for $68,000. Far more what it's worth than $8,500. And again, there are deals out there. You never know. It was worth looking into, but pretty obviously from the front, was a scam. So in closing, if you're looking to buy a classic Mustang, just be careful. There are scammers on all the major sites like Marketplace and Craigslist. There are also on a lot of the smaller sites, and your best deals will usually come from networking and not an online ad. If you do see a car that you like online, do your due diligence, look for red flags, and if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.